What is going on, people of the internet? Man, what y'all think I wasn't going to come on here and start blabbering about how awesome automation is? This is true. This is episode 30. I can't believe it. I'm going to throw it on the screen. Of course, I had to have a special guest, of course. And this is a good one, guys. He's funny. I'm going to make him smile and laugh a whole lot. And he's going to teach us, because he is an educator, on how to build better automation, because it's very important. You must have good automation for it to work. If it's a bad automation, if it's a system, if it's a bad chatbot, it's a bad website, it doesn't matter that you have it, it won't work. So we'll learn about why chatbots and automation so much more powerful than those guys over there at Uber Eats and DoorDash, and I'll sprinkle some of that in here. But I'm not going to wait any longer. For those of you just joining in, never joined this awesome podcast before, my name's Ryan Baggett, and I'm your host. Please join me in welcoming my main man, Robert Macbeth. What's going on, dude?
Hey, great to be here.
Man, you have it going on. You're just schooling people literally in this chatbot game. Literally is like my favorite word.
Okay.
I have people tell me that I say that word too much, but it's okay. Thank you for joining us today on episode 30. This is a very special episode to me.
Yeah, it's I think getting to the third set of 10, it's always a little something special, because anybody can just do 10, anybody can do 20, but by the time you're getting to 30, 40, that's when the real deal sets in, and you've got to practice, and you're just perfecting the trade at that point.
Man, you're making me smile. It's not supposed to happen. I'm blushing over here already, guys. I'm just having fun, and I've really enjoyed mostly the private messages. I live in Messenger then, so that's okay. The people that have told me since the first one with AJ way back when, that they've really enjoyed it, or they got something out of it, or to help them do something, because that's the only goal. The only goal here is to help people. That's the only goal. And you made that your main goal. My main goal is to provide a solution that is a plug and play for restaurants specifically. Other businesses work with it. You, on the other hand, you want to teach people the things. You want to do the thing that I never wanted to, or had the time to dedicate myself to, but have always wanted to do. You're doing the thing I want to do. I want to do the things you're doing. And I think it's so interesting, and I'll just love it if you would tell us a little bit about yourself. Man, Restream's upgrading with these little animations. Tell us about yourself, and then what got you in this chatbot world.
Right. Well, in my case, I'm a college dropout. My dad lost his job around my last year of college. I was going on 6 years in music production and sound engineering here in Mexico City. I'm not currently in Mexico City at the moment, but I ended up dropping out, joined a multi-level, like most people do. Most entrepreneurs start off in an MLM at some point. Was doing really well, was growing a little faster than people were expecting me to. I had tried a music, like a band management affair back in college, and it flopped completely. I was taking the band up to Texas for a tour.
Was the band good?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess you could say it's a niche genre. It's death metal kind of thing, but they were really quite good considering where they were at. But for a couple of reasons, it fell through, and I wasn't quite sure what the problem was until I saw a webinar on Facebook, one of Ty Lopez's webinars for his social media marketing agency stuff back in 2017. I said, you know what, that's it. I need to understand how to handle this cheaper marketing to get my businesses out there. So I got
let me ask you that, because that's so interesting. I lived in this social media wild west years and years ago. The day you could kind of do it, I was doing it. Right. So this is the only marketing I know. I've never placed an ad in the newspaper. Sorry, Island Packet. I don't think they're very effective on paper. I don't. And I don't think their social media is very good either. Hating on them. Sorry. Little personal stuff going on the podcast. We'll stop that. I only know digital. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've
Yeah.
so tell me, besides social, when you discovered social's where it's at, what were you doing before then?
Well, when I was getting this band going, my business partner back then and I, what we were doing a lot of, it was a ton of business to business type cold messaging, cold calling, bars, all the touring circuits in Austin. Austin being one of the music capitals of the U.S. It was a whole lot of cold calling. I booked myself a trip up. At one point, spent the week actually visiting places in person. Basically playing at being a manager at that point. I mean, when you're a startup, you wear all the hats.
Manager,
And
promoter, babysitter.
yeah, no, that babysitter, that was one of the they can never pay you enough to babysit a band.
No.
But basically, when I began getting into more or less touch with this digital stuff was when I was getting pushing the band in Facebook groups, in local Facebook groups. And I got one, and I pushed really hard. I got one place that actually said, okay, let's book it. And then I never actually pulled the trigger on that because the band did not get their visas on time. So I pulled the plug on the whole project. And but on my end, what was making my life difficult was getting that marketing in and getting that awareness sorted out, right? So when I realized that there was something in social media marketing and paid ads and all of that stuff, I got really intrigued. And so I got the course. And closing in around July 2017, I came across Manychat and Chatbot. Of course, back then, they were the only two real landmarks. And I started playing with it. It was back when it was super, well, in my opinion, it was super unfriendly to use, before the flow builder, before all of that stuff.
Flow builder changed everything, man. I'll tell you what, that flow builder, that changed the game for so many, including myself.
Yeah, 100%. So I got into Manychat, started using it. I started using it with my first clients, started building things out, sort of got into e-commerce at the same time. I was in this like learning phase where I was just consuming everything I could about everything. And it was 100-hour work weeks. And if I wasn't talking to prospective clients or working for clients, I was learning. So I started playing with Manychat. My first big gig with chatbots was in May, June 2018. One of my biggest clients, a law firm in Texas, coincidentally, they were spending a ton of money training their new employees, and they were losing a lot of employees quickly. It was a startup law firm. And so I said, well, you know what? I mean, I know how to build chatbots. Wouldn't it be cool if I could do this and use chatbots to train and qualify and certify your employees? So I spent about 3 or 4 weeks working with their trainer, the person who was in charge of instilling the standard operating procedures, and I built it all into the chatbot, and that took a ton of strain off the company. So that was pretty great. That was my first big idea, and that's where I got the idea that I could build calculators that, for example, I could have and I taught myself to do that with Nissan X-Trail. So I went into Nissan's page and I looked at all of the options when you could personalize your car, and I put all of the options into a chatbot, and it would actually spit out the right number at the end. So I just sat there and built variation after variation, figuring out the differences, etc., and then got that sorted out. And then I went to Manychat's first conference in 2018, sort of decided that was where I was at. I shut down my agency, got rid of a whole bunch of clients, sort of gave myself a sabbatical because I wasn't happy working with clients. I can't stand clients. I mean, they complain all the time, and nothing's ever quite good enough when it comes to marketing. And there's a whole lot of room for people to question you. But whenever I worked on chatbots for clients, nobody questioned me. And it was pretty great because I could build things and I had the numbers and metrics to prove that what I was doing was working. So during those 6 months, I started teaching other entrepreneurs, newer entrepreneurs, about how to do what I could do. And then in April of 2019, I turned to one of my students and said, hey, do you know what chatbots are? And he was like, yeah. Well, yes and no, because he studied programming, so he's been building bots for games, scripts for computer games and whatnot, RuneScape type, since he was in middle school.
RuneScape, man. I haven't thought of that in so long.
And I think he was actually building them for Tibia. I'd never heard of that game until he mentioned it. But I told him to go check out Manychat. He did, came back, said, I don't know what you're doing, but where can I sign? So we started a chatbot agency together. And the idea was we're going to be the best at building chatbots. So that means we can't do anything else. We don't do any marketing for clients. We don't do anything. We build the chatbots, which was interesting because it gave us the opportunity to sort of explore the break the barriers of what people were saying could be done with chatbots. Because when you have an entire system, you have your funnel and you have your advertising campaigns and you have your email and you have this and the other, the chatbot sort of just gets used to make sure, grab people and take them by the hand through the process. Whereas when we weren't doing that, we said, okay, we have to be able to do all of that inside a chatbot. And so while we were working on getting all of that set up, and it took us about 6 to 8 months to build our first real chatbot. We blew all of our savings in that.
That's a heavy bot, man. That's 6 months into a bot, y'all. That's a lot of work.
It's a chatbot for Ford dealerships, and it has about 100 flows in it, 100 conversations.
Wow.
And we've since then we've been adding on a whole bunch of personalized rules, a lot of data mining, because we knew from the start that the beginning of chatbots, or rather chatbots begin in sales, but the real objective and the real purpose of a chatbot is data analysis and mining. We sort of said, okay, whatever we build has to be able to give us stuff that we can then interpret and give to our clients. And so what's happened then is that every single client we have, they can't get rid of us. The only clients we don't work with anymore are the ones we have fired. And because we provide everything, because it's more than just getting somebody to buy a car. It's about getting somebody to make a smart decision and buy it with you, the dealership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during that process, Manychat sent us the invitation to become Manychat Educators, and we're like, hell yeah, sure thing. We took the exam and we passed, and I think we belong to the Facebook group chat with all of the educators, and I think there are about 45 of us in the world at the moment with Manychat. So that's great. But like you said, I mean, when all of this pandemic stuff broke out, Luis and I, my business partner, were sitting there looking. We already knew that we wanted to make a difference. We already knew that we wanted to help and provide things to people who wanted to learn, because chatbots are not a friendly thing to really get good at. You can play with Manychat free, the free version, Chat Fuels, but to really get into it, it's a whole different ballgame. And what I'd learned in 2 years, I had to teach to Luis in 6 months. And
Yeah, I think that truthfully, and this is the difference, and I want to point this out because it is a big deal. I'm going to put your little title back on the screen. The people that know what they're talking about can talk about it anytime, and they're not scared, and they don't have to Google things and get back to you. Now, that doesn't mean every expert can solve every problem.
Right.
But when you came here and understood the format, the extreme formal format of this exclusive podcast, right? That scares people sometimes, because you know what that format really was, right? It was, you ready for this? Let's go. Oh, you want to have an agenda? we're just trying to educate and bring value. The only thing that I promise people on this journey of podcasting that I decided to jump on, shout out to Steve Green again from PMQ, because he's the one that inspired me to do it. If he could do it, I was like, man, I could do it. All I want to do is help people, and that could be helping businesses achieve goals. And that's what I specialize in, I guess. Or it could be other developers, other social media marketers, other chatbot builders themselves, specifically those that are using TTT and reselling. Those guys, obviously, I help all the time, and you see them, I'm sure, in the groups here and there. But I want to know now, like as an educator, like you have such a immense background. What is your actual specialty, do you think, that you're like, this is my best move? And I think that we talked about it earlier. It's like some people's best move is their, ability to collect a phone number. They're the best at just getting a phone number. In your case, what do you do? We know you do some transaction stuff. We'll talk about that. What's your big thing?
Honestly, I think it's an easy question for me to answer is, what are you bad at? I can
There
tell
you
you
go.
1,000 things that I'm bad at.
AKA,
right?
Listen, Ryan, I can do anything. That's why I'm an educator. This is a great piece for me to learn. That's a nice move right there. Please take it away.
Well,
here's what I'm bad at. Here's the thing I'm bad at. I'm good at everything else.
I'm okay. So what a chatbot is good at, I'm really bad at doing in real life, right? So following up, staying on top of things, being able to keep track of who's doing what, I suck at that in real life. Like you can give me a list of 100 prospects with their emails and their phone numbers. To begin with, I hate phone calling, but keeping track of all of them as moving forward in time, I just can't do it. So I can organize it, I can structure it, but then actually doing it, I can't, which is one of the things that I say, wow, a chatbot, I do this once and it'll do it every time, right? So what I'm particularly good at, I guess, following from there, is that when it comes down to building a chatbot and developing the flow of the conversation, because it's not just a flow builder, oh cool, the process. No, you need to try and predict the way that a conversation will work in a person's mind to make sure that you're delivering that to them, right? And every time
I have to say something here, because I always make a point to say I build basic bots. That was my whole philosophy. On Kelly's show, I said, like, a cool thing actually for once, I build basic bots that solve big problems, right? And I think you nailed an important point here, because developers in general, the nerdiest of the nerdy, never had interactions truthfully with like the end user of their clients.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is, man, they're so smart. They don't know the language of the common man, right? Like it's a big language barrier, even in the same language. Like it's insane to me that, even when we're talking APIs, even the most basic sentence in the API world would baffle someone that doesn't understand the essence of like what is the thing that makes a website work. If they don't think to comprehend that, and why would they? They just need it to work. These conversations that people like you and I have, and the rest of these guests on this show, for the most part, it's beyond them, and they don't care so much until they do. And then when they do, that's when you come out of the shadows. You're not necessarily in the shadows. It's pretty easy to find.
Yeah. And to oversimplify what you just said, our ancestors didn't really care much about fire until they realized they could cook with it. And then it was like, holy crap, how do we make more fire?
There you go. I love that analogy, guys. That's a good one. I'm totally making my own version of that. Oh yeah, dude, that's a good one.
Use it word for word. But yeah, I've had, I'm not going to put out names here because, I'm actually good friends with a good number of them, but I know people in this world who get on stage, who get on podcasts, they talk about things, and I take notes from them. But then I go in and I look at their chatbot, I'm just sitting there going, really? This? Okay.
Well, I want to tell you, I want to point something out here. I used to work at a extremely large, successful $100 million contract agency, right? Our marketing was crap internally. Our marketing was crap. And I have a theory on that. And the theory is, when you're so concerned about delivering to the client, your work will suffer. And so when I put it this way, the first 60 days after I feel like I'd mastered automation and mastered chatbots, and part of that is mastering bot sheets. If you're in the Manychat world, like I was, when you master bot sheets and realize how smart those dudes are, you're on another level, right? And so when I got to the point I was there, it was like, okay, cool. I could do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are so many people that use something like a Manychat that don't even know Bashi's exists. In general, like when you're solving the problems, you don't have time to fix everything for yourself, and that's why at the end of the day, people like me, we have to hire more people. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
just doesn't get done.
And we actually had a very uncomfortable face off with that reality. Um, we knew we had a conversation with the CEO of Manychat in LA back in November, and we said to him, Latin America is they're dying for this. They are so hungry for this,
Mm-hmm.
and they love this. This is going to be your next biggest market. And he said, well, we don't really have the resources to get into that. We're focused right now with what we're doing, and but any way that you guys can help Latin America, do it. I'll thumbs up from us. You got to go ahead. It took us about 6 months to figure out what to do
What
there
does that
and how to
actually
do it.
mean? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it means that they're right now they know their market, right? Knowing your market is the key to success. They know their market. They know where they need to be focused right now. And we were saying, hey, this is what we need to do. We know that this is our mission. Yeah, we've got clients and everything, but we know that Latin America needs this, right? And so what it means is he said, go for it. Um, get started on your own Steam, and we will give you the nod for anything that you need. So, for example, they gave us a
So
permission.
they're willing to support you then.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. They
perfect.
gave us a permission, for example, to go ahead and set up Manychat Latin America, which is the community. We turned one yesterday, right? And we went from 0 to
Perfect.
1,800 people organically in 1 year, right?
Perfect.
So, I mean, yeah, they're definitely backing us up, and it's one of the reasons why. I mean, if anybody will say to me, "Well, what do you think about this other company?" I'll be like, "Yeah, but it's not Manychat, right?" It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's the kind of love that us Apple users have towards our Macs or iPhones. The Androids will be saying all day, "Yeah, but this is better." And this, yeah, but Mac gets the job done, right? And I know it'll be interesting to see if we get any comments about this, because my business partner hates Mac. He's all about the PC, and he
Man,
would, he's a
the
systems engineer.
developer, my developer that I go to for nearly everything, it totally hates Mac products. Period. And I have to tell him, you need to look at your user base. The ones that pay the most, they're on iPhone, man. And so it doesn't matter what you like. And, it doesn't matter if I prefer personally, if I did, I'm not saying I do because it's not true. If I only wanted to receive text-based messages from automation, never a doubt in my mind it's a robot talking back to me when I'm asking a question. No pictures, no nothing. I don't know what the population truly would choose, fun versus straight to the point. But I think that's something that you're great at. And so what's your take on that side of the coin versus the other? Do you recommend as an educator to build brand in the bot, or to get the information or the result the person's looking for fast as possible to them? This is something I think would be of high value.
When done properly, you pull off both. I mean, let's think of these guys who stand around in Costco, right?
Okay.
They're the ones handing out samples for people to try, and their objective is to get you to like a brand enough, to like a product enough to take it home, and so they're pushing you towards a transaction. That they are directly participating in a transactional process, except that you will still think of them in a positive mind. And they didn't have to be, they didn't have to overdo the delivery of the brand that they're offering you. They just had to be like, hey, come on, check this out, right? Here's why. Here are 3 benefits for this brand. You like it because of the flavor. You like it because of the texture. Hey, are you into this? Are you into that? And it's ultimately saying, here's a product, take it home. And yet you'll still think of them. And I don't know about people in the audience, but I remember when I was a little kid, it was time to go to Costco. Like, hell yeah, samples, right? Give me samples. I want to see the samples
Free
and
stuff.
free stuff. So you do end up having, and that has a positive impact on your relationship with the brand that you're trying. Even if you don't take it home, you're like, that brand is good. Or you know what, I had a good experience with this brand, because the one who gave you the experience wasn't necessarily the brand, but it was the sample pusher. I don't know if there's like an official word for them, name for them. But something similar happens in chatbots. At the end of the day, the chatbot has to take you to a transaction, because if a chatbot can't pay for itself, it becomes real estate that is just sucking money. And when you are able to handle the conversation, the interaction with enough rapport that the transaction doesn't feel forced, then you achieve branding. It'll have a direct response and a direct impact on the brand, on the relationship that the end subscriber has with your brand. So it's
Hmm.
not a matter of, hey, do I put in GIFs? I don't know. Does your brand need GIFs? Hey, I want to put in emojis. Sure, but does that conflict with the type of relationship you want? Right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about the relationship. So to give you an example, um, when we were doing when we finally got started on all of this education stuff back in April, where it all came together and it happened to coincide with thousands of people losing their jobs across the whole damn world with the pandemic. It coincided where we sat down and said, okay, there's an opportunity here for our conversation with Mike to come together with our interests, to come together with a need in the market, and to all come out, contribute to an outcome that will give us what we want and what the end user wants. So we started our course, and what we did there was, the first thing we said is, guys, meet your coach, the chatbot. The chatbot has a name, Splinter. Right, my business partner was really into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So he's like,
I
"Oh,
used to love
yeah,
that.
right." So, and it's pretty great. Don't mind the cat behind me. It was pretty great because it was a situation where the chatbot's job, because we developed a 30-day challenge of go from zero, not knowing anything, to being able to develop a bot good enough that you can then get clients and deliver results for clients in 30 days, even if you didn't know anything. And we've had that proven over and over again with our I think nearly 500 students at this point in Latin America. But what we did to them is, here's a chatbot. This chatbot's purpose, the end result, the end interaction and transaction we need is for this chatbot to get you to go in every day and watch a new video we've uploaded. We need your chatbot to make sure that you attend the daily live, where we do some live coaching. But what we did is we sold it to them under the guise of, here's your chatbot. His name's Splinter. His job will be to coach you through the process and help you develop the discipline to stay on track with what you're doing. So the chatbot's objective was to get you to show up to everything. And yet we've had students who've ended up with such a good relationship with that chatbot that they treat our chatbot as a member of our team. And they'll ask, if they'll reach out and they'll ask for something, they'll actually say, or do I have to ask Splinter for that? Or do I get
That's
that
so
from
funny.
Splinter? Right? Because at the end of the day, you're developing a trend. You have to build an ecosystem, as an ecosystem that is friendly to the sociology of your end user, but that is still focused and on track with a transactional interaction. To give you a different example of this, a different facing example, we work with Ford dealerships, primarily Ford, but we'll work with any brand. But what we actually have there is, when people log in, or when the people sign up for this, even if they came for an ad, we do something that is 180 degrees opposite to what the rest of the industry does. The rest of the industry, when somebody shows interest in becoming a lead, they just slap them with this giant survey form. You know, your first name, your last name, your middle name, your number, your email, your secondary email, your zip code, your this, your that, your blood type. How many sisters did your grandmother on your dad's side have? I mean, they'll just ask you, and it'll be an an incredibly intrusive process. So you end up having a ton of fake information put in, and it is just so stilted. This worked, by the way. Like their system worked 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
60 years ago. Like they're stuck in the past. But what we then did is okay, that's what they're doing. It sucks. I know this because I'm a consumer. Buying a car really stinks. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to, because then if I get past that and I talk to a sales associate, they're going to be pushing me to just buy and they don't really care about me. So what we did is we turned around and said, okay, well, what happens if we make a chatbot, which will allow people to explore cars without being molested by humans, right? And I use the word molested on all fronts and with every meaning possible. So people come into the chatbot and they get to explore the car. And we don't use emojis. We use GIFs sometimes, but emojis, I mean, you're buying a car, right? You're not renting an inflatable castle for your kid's birthday party. So we'll use the emojis very rarely, and more than anything to reinforce positive behavior, such as, hey, so they'll click on an ad for a Ford Escape. They'll go through and we'll immediately send them into the flow, which gives them the entire breakdown of the car. Hey, here's a car. You can check out the different versions of it, the colors. You can choose your color. You can do this and the other. You can download the spec sheet, and then it'll constantly be giving you the option in one of the buttons saying, "Hey, book a test drive."
And so,
or, "Hey, book a visit. Come and check it out."
If I missed it, I apologize. The way that they're getting into your bot is so cool. And I'll tell you what I've got going on with that. But the way they get into the bot, what is the way that you're using? Is it through ads or through their posts?
Both, because we have the Facebook comments tool, right?
Exactly right.
So, but it's interesting because we got to learn what the audience is like in a hurry. Like we got so much data out of this. So the ads that we launched, and we launched the first ads, we ran literally, I kid you not, $105 worth of ads, and generated 60 booked visits to the dealership.
And you just put that on repeat, and now you have a business. You just scale. And I'll tell you, and this is the question I want to get to next, because
completely.
Man, you're just crushing it. Yeah, go for it.
It gets good here. Literally, the ads were, hey, if you're interested in a car, but hate talking to somebody, try talking to our chatbot. We won't bother you until you're ready to come in.
Exactly.
And that was it. And we generated something like 400 leads in that, and it was statistically the worst week in the last 5 years of the car industry. And this was December 27th to January 3rd. It's dead at that time of year. Nobody's buying, nobody's shopping, everybody just got presents. It's even if we're not talking about consumerism, it's dead. Everybody's on holiday. You don't know what day of the week it is. You get up and somebody has alcohol in their hands either 10 a.m. or 6 p.m. Like it's a lawless time of year. And so we got all of this done, and we actually we sold 2 Mustangs and 1 base model Ford in that week.
Man, and I was just about to ask you, how many did you sell? Because I know you sold some doing that method. And with that many, the numbers honestly in your favor. And when they do the things versus something that's so mindless, like clicking a button on a website to do something that they're not going to show up for. You don't even have a way to contact them back. With using chatbots, specifically, guys, not just the crappy ones that are on people's websites that are overpriced, like $500 a month for a website chatbot that can't do anything like a messenger bot can. The messenger is connected to Facebook and Instagram and all other things, guys. You really want your chatbot, you really want your automation, your ecosystem to be social media driven. And I'll tell you what I believe is that there aren't enough people that are building chatbots in the world. They're just not. There are not enough people that are hip to it. They don't know the things yet, but that's changing. We're gonna see the influx of newbies coming in, and it's okay because there are people like you here that will guide them. Versus when we started, and there are less people, except for like Kelly, who's the bot queen. What I think though is you're gonna become the educator or specialist your educator educating the next round of specialists that take the automation to the next level, because people like me, I think we've understood that there are so many businesses and there's not enough time. And so therefore, that's why Tap the Table exists in the first place. Like I cannot ever get into all the restaurants. And because they're so unique, even though they all, at the end of the day, cook food and then give it to you and then clean up afterwards. That's what restaurants do. They cook food, give it to you, then clean up afterwards and do it again. And it's awesome, right? The thing I want to hit here really quick. Let me finish this piece here is restaurants don't have the time or desire to ever do the things that I do, ever. They do not. There are exceptions to the rule. There are some nerdy restaurant owners or restaurant managers that want to get into the things. Maybe they discover a Silver or a Manychat or a Chat Fuel or something, Mobile Monkey, something like that. But for me, the vast majority just want things to work. They just want to sell their pizza the way their customer wants it, quickly, And so in those cases, I think the solve is more, if not now, going to be software/platform driven. And so for my next idea, as much as I love my funnel builder starters, right? My funnel starters, shout out to Wendy, who introduced us. Wendy, you thought I wasn't going to give you a shout out. Come on, Wendy. I hope she's watching right now. For me, it's like, I think the best thing that I could do is choose the industries that could benefit the most and provide them Tap the Table-esque dashboards. Because at the end of the day, we're all working with simple Facebook permissions that are extremely hard to get. That's why they're valuable. Not every person and their grandma can use the comment tool, and for a good reason. People like you can use it, because with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Absolutely.
I took it there.
My favorite phrases.
Took it there. And so you're kind of in charge of training the next generation of how to use these things that we give them for the most part, And so for me, Tap the Table just solves immediate problems. There's no need to learn nothing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Say I said nothing. There's no need to learn anything. There's no need to have a third party unless you need advanced stuff. And so then your people that you train come out and make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, producing millions of dollars for these smart restaurants that already have automation in place because they already know the things because you taught them.
Correct.
That is where I think things are going to go.
Yeah, completely. And right now, making reference to Tap the Table, I'm going to need you to do something for me.
Yes, sir.
At some point in the next couple of months, I'm going to need Tap the Car.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
We've been working on for a while, and we're actually getting ready to put in an order for, I think, 10,000 sticky tags. Like Popple right now. Popple's going crazy on TikTok.
You mean this guy right here? I got one.
That guy.
I'm gonna do a whole episode on these jokers right here. This is like $20, I think, $14 or something. Man, I'll tell you all the things about these things. I have the same thing, man.
I'm going to go ahead and email that for you. Yeah. So because what we actually want to do, our end goal, and it was interesting because we had a conversation with the brand manager of Aston Martin in LA that same week when we were in LA about this very thing. And our objective here is, we know even before Facebook hit us all with that got rid of the 24+1 thing.
Right, I know.
Luke and I were already talking about how can we take a bot offline, because everything online is covered. Ref URLs allow us to do absolutely everything, but how can we take a chatbot offline? How can we create portals into the chatbot offline? And one of the things that we are aiming to do is actually begin providing all of our clients with these little sticky NFC chips that they can slap on the windscreen of their car, and that becomes a portal between the car and the dealership. Why? Because yes, it's cool to sell new cars, but the real bread and butter is cars coming in for maintenance, right?
Yes, sir.
If you set this up on the dashboard somewhere, to begin with, you're going to make sure that your client always brings their car back to your dealership. Why? Because you're connected already. Hey, I've something's weird in my engine. You tap the dashboard and you access, the chip. You access the part of the chatbot that then receives almost like a medical survey. It receives all the information. Hey, what are you bringing it in for? How many miles do you have on it? What's your license plate? And our chatbot actually begins to create a profile for each one of your cars that the mechanics can access, that the dealership can access, that you can access. And so the idea there is to have these stickers, these NFC chips on, I guess it's a bit redundant to say chips, isn't it? These NFC tags on, on the windshield or on the dashboard somewhere where it can constantly keep the chatbot of the dealership in the mind of the owner of the car, right? So yeah, that's one of the things we're after there. We already use QR codes that are then printed up and put on the demo cars, like for test
Exactly.
driving.
Every single one.
Anybody's that run by on the street, and you just scan it, and it actually says, "Want to test drive this car? Scan me," and it opens up the chatbot right away. You have a lead.
Do you know why QR code? I'll be surprised if you don't. I'll bet you do. But at the same time, this is a mindless fact. Do you know why the QR code was invented?
You know, I know
It's your space, man. It's literally what you're talking about, guys. It was invented. I didn't know the year, but I researched this a long time, like
it's 2000. It's old tech. I know that much.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, but like I looked a long time ago why they invented it, because it's like, well, why they do this? The answer: to track vehicles, bro, during the manufacturing process.
No way.
Because there were so many. Yes. Isn't that insane? So you're using it. You're using the technology as it was designed to be used in the 2020 way to the maximum. That's so cool, right? I'll bet you everyone watching, I bet you nobody that is watching this out of the millions of people, we have millions of viewers. It's just, they don't show it on Facebook,
Right.
Fake news Facebook doesn't show all the millions of users, the millions of adoring fans we all have here. Just kidding here. But that's why it was invented, guys, is to track vehicles. And there's so many use cases for QR codes. And I'll tell you what, back in January, at least where I live here in the United States, people like looked at QR codes like, what are you talking about? Why do you want to show me a QR code, Ryan? And this is way before I was concerned even about like what's going on here with the health stuff. I don't even say the word. We don't even talk about that word on my show. We can't say it. But like, I wasn't even thinking about that, truthfully. Like, for me, I saw the power of chat marketing, conversational marketing, through the comment tool as well. Like I mentioned before, I saw that and I was like, that's the game changer. Coming from a social media content guy, that's the game changer. You can do the things. And then for me, just like you said, calculator was your aha moment.
It was one of the aha moments. Yeah.
For me, it was the comment tool. It was. And I was like, aha, I can do this and I can do that. And it just exploded from there. But for me, again, like I had to think, once I figured out what I was really going for this year, starting in February, man, like to be focused on a TTT app, I knew that there was nothing that was in existence that was specific to restaurants as a whole. You know what I'm saying? And so that was the gap that I needed to fill.
There wasn't a niche service yet.
Right. And still, while it works immediately, people like you need to have the courses available, have the students trained up to go help them, because they still need help. They'll still need to optimize. And then when this becomes the norm, right? Because right now it's basically only the ones that know the things, not the majority. Yep. So when the majority do know the things, 100,000%. So when it becomes the norm, that is when the experts and the chatbot consultant extraordinaires that are like under your training and under Kelly's training, they're the ones that are like really going to make the difference, because now they're going to have to fight the system. You know what I mean? Again, it's the chatbot algorithm now. Oh, all the chatbots are perfect. How do we beat this? Like that's going to be a real thing.
Yep. Completely.
Well, dude, I'll tell you what, man, this has been one of the most nerdy episodes ever, and I love it, every second of it, because I think that for the people that like, I don't ever want to be known as the basic podcast, bro, ever. I'm not the podcast to come to learn this simple how to connect this to that. Don't come here for that. There are so many other places for that. I ain't teaching you that. Now, chat table customers that need the things, obviously they know I do whatever they want. I'm like, I work for them very hard. But for the rest of the people that need that, is saying the place. This is the place to have the unlocks. This is the place to like the fact that you dropped the bombs on how you're able to capture so many leads in the vehicle industry is amazing. And I know that you've inspired someone. The light bulb is right over their head. Bing. That's how I use this. And I had my eye on the car industry from an early time, but for me, I speak the restaurant language, and that's important. But now that I've grown my own knowledge and I have my own philosophies on things, I've got a certain path I want to run down, and that's going to be one of those. I want to go from selling houses to hamburgers, hit the real estate market. Century 21 Remax. I'm coming for y'all. Y'all are going to have an awesome solution come 2021. And then I'm going to hit up other industries as well and provide a specialized plug-and-play solution that gets them there, except they might not even have the time. Like, I can't tell you the number of businesses, they make so much money. They're like, dude, we don't care how cheap this is. Do the thing. We'll pay you here's $10,000. Just do it. That's the people that your folks are going to come in and swoop in and just make the cash. It's not, Photoshop, Adobe makes a lot of money, right? They're providing an excellent tool, and then the tool is very cheap. The people that use their cheap tool, I think it's $9 a month for the most part now. It's cheap. I guess it's cheap depending on how you look at it. Long-term currencies.
It's an investment. Investments are always cheap when they give you good return.
The artists that use Photoshop in the way that I can only dream of, I can do some things in Photoshop, but I'm not an artist. Like those people, they'll take that $9 tool and make $90,000 in a month.
Yep. I'll tell you one thing. My Photoshop skills are, not to brag or anything, but I can
tell me you're a master.
I can open the program and then I can close it. That's it. I have no. You know what? I've tried.
I thought you were about to tell me you're the gangster Photoshop man.
My sister
really
would
did
sit there and just build crazy things in Photoshop. I'm just sitting there going, how? How are you doing that?
Yeah. Well, listen, man. Tell me the rest of the year. I know Black Friday is like a couple days away. I'm going to jump off this in a minute, and I've got like 3 pieces of creative I got to finish up tonight for a couple campaigns I'm running. But it's fun stuff. Do you have any Black Friday or plans for the rest of the year, or big plans in 2021 that we can all be looking out for?
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, we're done. We're done for 2020. Our 2020 ended with October.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right now we're running some last minute Black Friday campaigns, all in Spanish, all in Latin America. But November is all about polishing what we've built, because come January, February, we relaunch in Spanish, but we're actually going to be opening the beta group for our course that we've been moving in Latin America for the last 6 months. We'll be opening up the beta for that. Pretty much, there's no solid way yet of how we're going to announce it, but I'm sure we'll be touching base with you when that day comes.
I'll be
hop
here
on that, and we're putting together a summit for this whole concept of chatbots as well, way to move it. That's for AI Academy, which is our education part. And as far as the agency, we're pushing into the US now for clients in the US and in Canada. And the goal is to hit 20 to 30 new clients a month. So it's ambitious, but we've been building the team.
That is an ambitious goal, and for the transparency, the goal for Tap the Table was 1,000 clients before the end of the year, unless 2 deals that are slightly on the table, unless they come through, that ain't happening, unfortunately. But I can only say I can only go as fast as I can go, and
absolutely,
it's fast as I can handle right now. Hopefully, I'll be able to hire some of your students when they graduate your classes and learn the things. Because I only want to ever deal with professionals. The best is premium everything.
Yeah.
This is not a Honda. This is a Ferrari. That's the way I look at it, 100%. Right? And so, actually, before when we get off, I want to talk to you about upping the game of the TTT's internal chatbot, because, like I said, it's more important to me to ensure the client's success before I have cool stuff myself, because at that point, before I had to get the name out there, do this, hustle there, have that. Now, luckily, we're in a spot where I can focus on things to grow, but at the same time, I can't do all the things, man. So I'm this guy right here, he is one of the ones where you can trust when you say I had this complex thing, and this is about brand, that's what you're going to get. Like you're not going to get just text-based stuff unless, like he said earlier, it calls for that. If you're a business, that gifts don't make sense for you. Like this thought,
insurance, for example.
I think insurance totally. Like think of Geico, bro. Like you totally got to have like the lizard if that's still a thing. But for me, one that would be really tough. It would have to be a very specific, specialized gift. Is like a funeral home. I got approached by a family that they own like 12 funeral homes, and sure you can make it work, but I always say just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yes, we could think about it, but like you have to be very cognitive of the audience. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that when I thought about it, it's one of the most, like, I don't, first of all, I'm very particular about who I do business with any capacity, is if my name's associated, you know what I'm saying? And I've seen some shady, like, pages that have like got a free trial of table. I've kicked them off. I don't even say anything. I don't care. Read the terms. Like, I'm paying anything. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're looking shady, I would never be involved with anything that's not totally up and like something positive, right? And so I would love to be able to help a funeral homes. And the person that approached me, I think they had like 12 of them. I think a bunch. I'm like, what? You got a business of funeral homes? That's crazy. I never even thought of that. But like at the end of the day, it's a very like it needed and necessary business.
Step number one for that is you're gonna have to book out entire 2 weeks and just hang out at their best funeral home. Yeah, because I mean, it has to be dignified and it has to be respectful, but at the same time, it can't be morose. I mean, they're just that's one hell of an onion with a ton of layers.
This out, dude. You nailed it though. Like the spending 2 weeks concept that you just laid out there is so important, guys, and that is another reason I'm stuck with restaurants for the most part, because I know the language, I know their problems, I know the things that I couldn't do, so I try to solve those things. In this case of 2020, you know what I don't know anything about?
What's that?
Being a lumberjack. Don't ever ask me to cut down a tree. What? Like, but at the same time, my biggest, bestest client this year, Gyrotrack, that is what they do. They're a forestry mulching manufacturers. They build the most world-class giant machines that cost more than my house that you'll ever see, right? Like, and people buy fleets of these things. The government, when they have these crazy forest fires in California, what machines do they want? Machines that will fix all of the overgrowth in the California jungle, their forests and stuff. Like I've never even thought of like what the tractors that you see in the construction sites and stuff actually do. There's like they have big wheels, and I'm in my head, living in the South Georgia, South Carolina area. I'm like, oh, we have this thing called mud bogging. I bet that tractor could mud bog. Actually, you like pull out the trucks that when they get stuck. That's a really country thing.
Yeah.
Gyro tracks, it's insane. And I'll tell you what,
I thought you were making it tough on me when you said the funeral home, and then you just say this. I'm just sitting there going, I don't even how does one start to figure out?
You have to get immersed in there. That's the thing. I didn't know nothing about forestry, but because I basically, I do go there. I go all the way to their headquarters once a week. They pay well. They pay well. I go there once a week, and I know better than my own business plan at some point, like what they want to do, what their goals are. And in my head and on paper and on digital, we have steps 100%. In place to get there,
Yeah.
So I went from nothing about cutting down a tree. And I'm scared to actually get in one of those giant machines because they're so expensive and my insurance doesn't cover that. So like, but like now I understand, like I can have a conversation with a mulcher that's been in the game for 30 years. Now, how do you like those cutter teeth, dude? Look pretty cool. Like I can have a conversation. I'm not an expert, but I can have a conversation.
To take your word at it because I do not have that mulching experience, man.
Same with funerals. Like you just have to be immersed, Like I think that if you or I were tasked with achieve this goal with our funeral home business, I think that it might take, like you're saying, a while to understand the best moves to make. I think it can be easily done. You
Well,
know,
go ahead and check in with me in a couple of years because my best friend's decided that he's going to go to college right now. A little late in the game, but he's going to go to college to become a funeral director. So I'll have some inside track there for you in a couple of years.
there you go. It might be a TTT for funeral homes one day, y'all. Like, oh man, it'll
Okay,
totally work.
okay, okay.
Now your
As
mind is
long
going
as
there, and you're like, yep, you can do this, you can do
yep.
that, because that's
No,
what
no, no.
I'm like. Well, I'm already having the e-commerce section in my head. You can sell this,
I
upsell
have
that.
one
It's so
request for you.
bad. So such a marketing dude.
I have one request for you. Just
Yeah.
make sure it's not called Taps a Casket, please.
Oh my. Oh,
Please.
that's man. If this mic came off, I would just drop it. That right there, dude. That was excellent. I told these people that was gonna make you smile and laugh. You've done that to me all the
Taps
show.
a coffin. Here, somebody else just dropped.
Don't
Taps
say
a
that,
coffin.
dude. You're ruining my brand. That's so funny, bro. Listen, you have been a trip, just like I knew you would be. Guys, I hope you've had so much fun, just like we have. I hope that you took notes. Some of you that are trying to learn the things, because this dude knows, like, from the QR code in the car to all the other knowledge bombs he dropped tonight, and the jokes. I'm gonna go back to the jokes. This has been fun, and I hope you've enjoyed it. This is episode 30, guys, and we're gonna make some changes going forward. As a matter of fact, there's only like a few episodes left of this season. You know why? Because I make the rules. That's why. And come January 1, we will be in season number 2. A new look, a new background, more chat the table apparel, maybe even Chatbot Podcast apparel. I think what I'm going to do is every guest that comes on the show, I'm going to send them something fun before the show, maybe after the show. And so depending on how fun they are, what fun they get. Maybe they have the whole tap the table apparel package. Dude, thank you so much for joining me. You're awesome.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Stay on the line, because I'm gonna throw you off and then come back and talk to you more and hire you for some things, I think. But thank you so much. All right.
Sounds good.
Guys, thank y'all for joining me on the 30th episode of the Chatbot Podcast. There are lots of things going on in the world today. You need to be paying attention to the important things in your life, not what's on the news. Okay? Be patient. Don't rush to conclusions on anything out there. Don't alienate yourself. Do not burn bridges, y'all. I see so much crap on my personal Facebook page. Just crap. I don't say anything ever. Well, hardly ever. And it's like, man, y'all were friends last year. This year, you're saying mean things to each other. Don't do that. We need a lot more compassion and niceness in this world than I'm seeing desperately. It really needs to change and shift to the mindset community over competition. Be nice to each other, folks. Being positive is never negative. That's my favorite thing to say, other than every day is a good day. Because if you're alive and breathing, man, it's a good day. Even if that last 5 minutes ago sucked, the next several hours of your day or night could be awesome. So please try to be positive. Try to help someone before asking for so much help yourself. And I can almost guarantee we're all going to be happier. We're all going to be better. And that's really what I want. And I know I play such a small part in the game of marketing to make things better. You've got your doctors and nurses saving people's lives. They're making stuff better. You've got your educators who they know the things. They can go out and make all the money, but instead they know how valuable the knowledge is and they share it and pass it down. And they're not greedy. They're awesome. They're positive. Positivity is never negative. But you know what's negative? Negativity. It's always negative. It's never good. So no tech stuff, no digital marketing ending bomb dropping here. This is just life stuff. I want to just get off my chest. I'm done off the soapbox. I'm thankful for everything that's happened this year, that's happened in the past. Everything happens for a reason. And if you're positive about what chips fall your way, I think no matter where you are in the world, you're going to be all right. That's all for now, y'all. Thank you for watching. Y'all stay tuned. More good stuff coming.